What up, fam? Me Fresh here, and I'm back with an all new video. And today is a different video, and the video I feel like needs to be made from my part. Now, as you all know, I am a black content creator, and pretty much the main game I play is Destiny. That's what I play probably 90% of the time. So I guess it's safe to say that I'm a Destiny content creator. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because of the situation with George Floyd and his untimely death because he was murdered by a police officer for no reason. And I wanted to talk about this because the outpour of support that I have seen come from the Destiny community, and it's just been insane. And I can say that I have never been more proud of this community than I have after what's transpired over these last few days. So now, if you don't know, which I'm sure you have to know, you should know, George Floyd was killed because there was a call about him using a counterfeit $20 bill, and the officers came, they manhandled him, handcuffed him, put him to the ground. He wasn't resisting, and the officer, David Chauvin, or however you pronounce his name, it doesn't matter because he's a fucking piece of shit human being, decides to put his knee over his neck, restricting his airflow, and it turned out the way that it did. George Floyd was constantly saying, "I can't breathe." He even got to a point to where he was screaming for his mother, who had passed away 2 years ago. Which, I'm sorry, if it gets to that point, then you should know that this man was literally watching his life flash before his eyes. Like, he was literally saying this. And one of the last things he said was, "They're gonna kill me." And that's exactly what happened. Now, there were people who, thank God, who recorded the video. I know some people are saying, they should have jumped in and stopped him. And to that, I say, I understand it to some degree, but you have to keep in mind that one of the guys holding the camera did step forward. And the second he did, the officer put his hand on his hip, which we know what that means. So I don't know that man. That man may have a family at home that he's trying to get to also. And I don't know. There's just so many different ways that this could have ended. And I understand, and it's just a sad situation all around. Because now psychologically, those people who recorded and watched that man die in front of them, it's going to mess with their brains also. Like, it's like, imagine that you just sitting there and you're helpless and you can't do anything, and then that man died, and it's just like, that's on your conscience as well. It's just bad overall. But the point of this video was, I just wanted to highlight some of the Destiny content creators and show their responses to this situation, and just to Black Lives Matter and to other black content creators as well. So I'm just gonna go down a list of people and show you some of the responses that they had. First up, we got MTash. He had a video that he posted on on Twitter, and this is what he had to say.
Hey everyone. I made a post the other day about racism in the US. I was talking about that. I know that I don't get political that often. I'm a gaming YouTuber, right? What do I know? Why am I putting politics in this? And it's really frustrating because this is a thing that I see even in Canada, in Alberta. I told a story where my son and I were at a Tim Hortons, and the two guys in front of us, these guys were dressed up kind of like cowboys, and I just heard them just blatantly say it. Everyone could hear them in the whole Tim Hortons. "Can't get a white person to serve us in here. It's all full of Filipinos." Racism happens everywhere. But I think what's important is to teach our kids that that's not okay. I had to take my son over to the side of the restaurant. And I had to explain to him, those men are racist. That is not okay. That is never going to be okay. And I think it's up to us to teach our kids, but I think it's up to us, not just as parents, but as adults, is to challenge racism when you see it happening. I find that a lot of times someone's going to make a racist comment, and instead of shutting it down, people just kind of hesitantly laugh, or they just let the comment happen. I think we need to start challenging people. And that's one thing that I've started doing a little bit, and it does cause drama. It does cause drama. It causes weird altercations, but I think that instead of just letting it slide and awkwardly laughing off a racist comment or a racist joke, we need to stand up and stop it and at least try to enlighten them. You don't need to get into a fight. You don't need to attack the person, but maybe they're just ignorant. Maybe they're just uneducated and they don't understand the effect. There are teenagers, there are young kids that we need to be mentors to, and I think it's important that we start taking racism a lot more seriously because this is absolute bullshit. There we go. I got it off my chest. Let's do better. I wish I could do more. I feel like I'm just one guy, but at least I can maybe use my platform a little bit for good.
Next up, we had one from King Athalion. Shout out to Goth, and this is what he had to say in his tweet. Goth says, I'll never have to explain to my son why his life is by default unfair because of the color of his skin, and I can't imagine how impossible that feeling even is. I'm tired of seeing blatant racism and folks act like it's not time to speak. We have got to do better. I wasn't raised with hate in my heart, so to see it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how this is normal for folks. I don't know how parents can raise their children to not love their fellow person. I don't understand. Crushing. Next, we have Lori Pops. Lori says, I understand this may be too much for many people to bear. I know some may have the inclination to avoid social media, avoid the news, and block it out, but I urge you to face this uncomfortable period in solidarity for Black equality and justice. Use your voice. # Black Lives Matter. Next up, this is the one that actually inspired me to make this video. And this is what, shout out to Bungie, shout out to DMG, aka Dylan. And this one inspired me to make the video. He said, listen to the Black community. Their voices should come first on matters like this. You don't need to hear about my heartbreak for this injustice. You need to hear their stories, their heartbreak, and their needs. Seek ways to help. And then he left the ink for the Minnesota ACLU. This is the one that inspired me to just be like, I need to make a video about this because this is just going to highlight there's times when the Destiny community, we all know that it can be toxic at times, but then there's times like this where I'm proud to say that we've all come together in support of something, and especially something this important. So shout out to DMG for this. Next, I also have one from Rabby V. Shout out to Mr. Fruit and Blue Westlow, which I will have some from them also. Rabby says, if some say Black Lives Matter, but then your first thought is to start to talk about the looting and riots, you are the problem. A fellow American was killed by a cop for no reason. If I killed someone, I'd be arrested. Why hasn't this cop been arrested yet? Don't understand why they are protecting a murderer. # justice for George Floyd. # Black Lives Matter. Thank God he has been arrested. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have the most confidence, which has always been a problem because his bail has been set at $500,000, which, if I go based off of previous events, there's going to be some group of people who are going to raise money for this piece of shit, and he's probably going to get bailed out that way. And also, they did an autopsy on George Floyd, and they're saying that he died due to natural causes, which we all know yet again is bullshit, and it just feels like the fix is already in, and they're already setting it up for another acquittal, and I'm just gonna, it's not gonna, I don't know, I hope that it's not that way, I really do, but I'm just tired of getting disappointed, basically. Next up, we got Blue Westlow. He says, when I was 11, my family moved to a new middle-class neighborhood. I grew up there with my Black friends. Our families were the only minorities on the street, so we stuck together. We were like any kids who played outside, but it taught me a lot about racism and their fears. The police were called on us several times. No surprise, there were Black kids and a Mexican kid playing in a white neighborhood. Even as kids, we understood why it happened, but it was different for them. At every encounter, they were treated as if they were full-grown adults, threats. Despite being a brown kid thinking I had it bad, growing up with my friends taught me that Black individuals are systemically treated as dangerous first, human second. We cannot truly imagine their fear and anger, but we can listen and lift up their voices. # Black Lives Matter. Shout out to Blue Whistle for this. Also, and finally, we have Mr. Fruit, who says, I normally don't get involved with worldly affairs, but this is something worth speaking up about. Those at fault need to be held responsible, and no one should live in fear because of their race. As a white male, I know I'm afforded things others aren't, so all I can do is listen. That's what we all need to do, hear those oppressed and lift up their voices. What's going on and been going on is reprehensible, and it's clear that it's time for a change is now. Hashtag justice for George Floyd. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. And everything that everyone is saying is 100% correct. It's time for everyone to understand that all these things that we have been talking about for years now, all these injustices, we weren't making these things up. These are things that happen on a daily basis. I could give you my own stories. I could tell you about times where me and my friend Willie were at Hot Important Nights one year, and we went on the elevator, and this woman got on the elevator with us, clutched her purse, and stepped back off the elevator because she felt uncomfortable. I can tell you about times that my friend Quincy found a buggy full of groceries and chased a woman down and let her know that she left them, and instead she got scared, locked her doors, and just drove off because she thought that he was coming after her for some reason. I can tell you plenty of times where these things have happened. Another incident, my friend James Stillwell, he came with us and we went inside a store one day, and I looked at him and he looked at me, and then he just walked out. So I went to go check on him, thinking, I was like, man, you okay? And his words to me were, I'm sorry. And I was just like, what are you apologizing to me for? And he says, I have never been watched more in my life than I have being in this store, and now I understand how it happened, how it feels for y'all. And I was just like, this is just something that we experience on a daily basis. Like, I hate racism. Everyone should hate racism. It's a terrible thing. But there's just some people out in this world who were just raised to embrace hate, and it sucks. And this all leading back to George Floyd. We're just tired of seeing unjust things like this happening, man. To Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, who may have sold a cigarette. He didn't deserve to get choked to death for it. Yet again, that officer got acquitted of that also. Philando Castillo was reaching for his, he told the officer he had a gun and he's a registered gun owner. He reached for his driver's license and registration, and then he gets killed. To Tamir Rice, who was playing outside with a toy gun, and some woman called because she was scared, and the cops pull up and immediately shot him. To Trayvon Martin, who was walking home from the store, and some asshole named George Zimmerman kept chasing after him, even though dispatch was telling him to not do that. He kept following him. Now you tell me, what should he have done? There's some strange guy that keeps following you. I'm gonna want to fight you too. Like, why are you following me? And last but not least, there's 8 million more examples I can give to you, but one that I'm still not over that just happened a few weeks ago was Ahmaud Arbery. And this man, he was just jogging through a neighborhood. Three white assholes, I'm just gonna say that because they're racist, pulled up to him, blocked him off with guns, and proceeded to kill him. It was just unnecessary. Like, if I'm running somewhere and somebody pulls up in front of me with a gun, what is my first instinct to do? That man was trying to protect himself, and then they shot him for it. Thank God they're in jail. We'll see how that turns out also. But just overall, man, we're just tired of just senseless killings from officers and just racist pieces of shit. And I'm just happy to see that the Destiny community is pouring out support for not only, this situation, but just all situations. And they're looking after their black content creators, and I think that's awesome. Now I'm gonna leave this video with one from the homie Majin Taj, who he just sums up how we feel perfectly, and he's also a Destiny content creator as well. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy it, and we gotta stop this shit, man. We have to stop it, and I'm glad everyone is speaking out. Oh, before I leave, also, there's a couple people I did leave out. Shout out to Mav. She also showed support. Shout out to Leah Loves Chief. I'm still Leviathan. I'm still hung up on the old name. And Alana Pierce, Greg Miller, a lot of other people showed support for this as well, and I thank all of you. So with that being said, guys, I'm out.
Emotions are high in America right now, thanks to the death of George Floyd at the hands of the police. And, as black people in America, I know we feel that, there's nothing we can do to really change our disposition to some of these people, whether we're poor and black and we're gangbanging, or if we have a lot of money and we're in a three-piece suit on Wall Street. A lot of these people will only see us as black people, or as the politicians like to call us, thugs. And the more conservative racists will just say the N-word. In hindsight, with all these riots, they like to say to protest peacefully, but we all know that doesn't work. Colin Kaepernick tried to protest peacefully. Martin Luther King, Black Wall Street in the early 1900s wasn't doing anything to anyone, and they all got destroyed in some way or form. And then if we exercise our Second Amendment right as American citizens and try and form together and get militant like the Black Panther Party, then we have the highest forms of government that come together and try and take them out too. And to these people, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing that's good enough for them, because it's the color of our skin that is the issue. It's crazy that we're still talking about this in 2020, but I don't know, man. This video, it's not even for us people of color, because I'm sure you guys already understand what I'm saying, and it's really not even for the racists out there, because you guys don't care what I'm saying anyway. I'm just a black guy. It's really for all you people who are not people of color, that have been trying to support us and have been vocal and stuff like that. And maybe you have black people on your feed or in your life that are feeling some type of way, anxious, scared, or whatever, and you may not understand it. Just wanted to give a little bit of insight. Right now it's a group of people in the nation that feel like their back is against the wall, and when a group's back is against the wall, sometimes a lot of them will come out fighting, and at the end of the day, it's not going to be good for anyone. So I think the only thing that can really quell that is some understanding and love from the other side. So I just wanted to say, thank you to all of you guys that have been showing us love in this time and trying to understand where we're coming from. And let's keep working together, guys, and try and make things better.